Okay. Over the years, you've sat in on a fair number of these interviews as they've taken place with respondents. How do the respondents react to the survey? Do they enjoy it? Is it a chore? How would you describe their interface or interaction with the survey team?
One of the key things that early on the Ethiopian team told us that in terms of the way we should implement the survey is to actually do it slowly and very carefully and actually take a lot of time in each village to implement it. The result is that this very big instrument is never implemented in big chunks at a time. In fact, the protocol says that people, when they first approach the household, should actually make appointments. And in fact, they agree with the household when these different interviews take place. And so once we then find slots, which can be, a few evenings on consecutive days or whatever, we actually can then go to these households and talk to them in great detail. Just simply because we are not being pressured for time, the interviews are much calmer and people are clearly quite enjoying it. Over the years, some of these villages have become quite used to us doing it, but we should not overestimate the burden we put on them. We only tend to come back every few years. In fact, in the last few rounds, it's every 5 years. In fact, they're very excited that when we come back. A nice anecdote can explain this, how the reaction of the villages has been over the years with the survey. When, somewhere in the 90s, we weren't quite sure that we could come back in the near future because funding had dried up. In one particular village in Tigray, they announced that this was going to be the last time the team was going to come and camp and interact with them. The villagers were furious, and in fact they didn't want the team to let go until they committed to actually come back and interview again in a few years. And we were very glad to be able to say that we did, and that we still have a good relationship with them. Another thing we do with the community is we don't just interview individuals and then maybe pay them a little bit. Yes, some of these things are happening, but we've always made a point that things are happening at a community level as well. When the team leaves, often there's a big party, there's a big feast, and that has definitely helped to get community relations to leave at least in good spirits, and also to include some of the people who are not part of the sample, to actually get a sense of, they are all part of it and they should not be cross if they're not being included in the survey.